we definitely want to jump into a little bit of an icebreaker. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got started with your businesses?
All right. Well, my name is Keisha Green. I am from Syracuse, New York, which is in upstate New York. I actually began to start my businesses down here in Atlanta around 2010 after losing my job at Applebee's.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Were you a waitress?
Yes.
I used to wait tables, so I know how that hustle is. It's a real hustle, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So can you give us a synopsis of what it was like before, or life was like before the accident?
Okay, so before the accident, I was a single mom of three. I moved here to the Atlanta area in 2009, just really looking for more opportunities as a minority, as well as raising my three sons. So when we moved here again, I was a server at Applebee's. I really just had the desire and the passion to have more. So as I was working at Applebee's, I actually had started a hair extension company, and I was just really working towards just continuously giving my boys more, but I was also in a place of developing a very strong personal relationship with God during that time as well. So that's what life was like before the accident for me, working, starting my first business, raising three sons. So going around to AAU basketball games and all that kind of stuff, that was pretty much my life before the accident.
So you were already a supermom. You already had the routine going then, huh?
Yes.
That's amazing. That's great. And so, are you able to describe the accident that left you as a bilateral amputee?
Absolutely. So back in 2013, I was in a motor vehicle accident where the guardrail came through, severed both of my legs immediately. Um, I just truly seen the true miracle in hands of God personally for myself on that evening, watching God truly save and spare my life. After that accident, I spent 2 days on the respirator. Coming from there, God just had truly shown me on the respirator and allowed me to know that the legs I had wasn't strong enough to walk into the territory that He had for me. And I knew that that was a promise. So, He promised me a peace that surpassed all understanding. And when I woke up, truly, I just felt like I was different. So I've always gone by Keisha Green, but once I was in the hospital, I began to say, I am Keisha Green. And I just started feeling a different level of elevation. I knew that God was calling me to do something different. I spent a lot of time asking Him what He wanted me to do with what had happened opposed to why. And He just began to show me that I was a miracle. So within that, I was able to come out of the hospital in 3.5 weeks. When they said I would be there for probably a year, and I was able to walk on prosthetics in 8 months, in which they said I will possibly do in 18 months. So that's kind of how I became a bilateral amputee, and also, some of the things that took place and process after it.
Wow, that's an amazing story, and I am I'm just blown away right now just with what you already had to go through. Would you say you're mentally stronger now?
Oh, absolutely. I realized that the ability of your mind is stronger than any inability. And I just remember this one day, just God just showing me, and I just began to start seeing it from my mouth. I was like, you know what? On that evening, I could have still had my legs and lost my mind, and my mind not even be able to tell my legs to move. So I realized just still having my right mind and the power of my mind was like the most priceless thing that God could have given me.
Wow, amazing words. Again, wow, what a response. Because now the wheels are turning in my mind, and I've always agreed that the mental is the most important. And like you said, you could have lost your mind and not been able to move your legs. I want to go back and talk about what you just spoke on when you said God said your legs weren't strong enough to walk into the territory that you were going to walk in. I felt that. Is there a way you could maybe expound on that just a little bit, based on like
Well,
maybe the territory you're in versus the territory you were in, or maybe you didn't see yourself where you are now, even being mentally stronger now versus where you were.
well, when I idealistically think about what God has done for me and not for me, because He didn't do anything for me, He did some great things for me, is the way I look at it. And when He told me that the legs that I had was not strong enough to walk into the territory that He has for me, what I realized is that I was going nowhere. I was standing in my own way, and that He had places for me to go, and the legs was holding me back. He said they wasn't strong enough. Meaning, like, these legs cannot go here. They're not built for where I'm about to take you. So it was going to take something greater. So I just believe that, first of all, my name is Keisha. How many Keishas do you know out here? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when you say Keisha and the cheer who lost both her legs, it's just me. So in that, I know He created a lane that is just for me. People no longer do not forget me just because of who I am, but they see the glory of God. I'm like unforgettable. Once people come past me, it's unforgettable, but it's because you truly know that God had to do something. He had to take me into a place where no one else could go. So when He said He had territories for me, I just know, and this is still to come. This is still just the beginning of the lives that He will use me to change, that an everyday woman standing on both legs could not go.
Wow.
Those are the things to think about when He says that He has, the legs weren't strong enough.
Can you talk about the mental process, like the going from having legs to becoming a bilateral amputee, being a mom, one, and then just being a human. The mental process of having to really understand and accept that, because granted we're strong mentally, and we want to be strong mentally, and there has to be a process to work up to that. Are you able to maybe take us through that?
Yeah, for me mentally, a lot of people will say, I've never had any type of counseling, psychiatrist, any of that, because God had made me some promises, and I guess I just really trusted that. I tell people, I guess for me, the only part where I've seen a mental struggle was like around my first 4 days waking up. When I first came off of the respirator on those 2 days, and I spent 4 days. I knew I didn't have the legs, but I was scared to see it, right? So I just remember every day, even when they would come to like help me get ready and stuff, I would never let them move the sheets, okay? And then it was just like this one day, God was like, I don't know how the sheets just came back. And so that's when it really became realistic for me. But I never had that place of feeling like down. I just started learning how to do stuff differently. I immediately went into mode of like, how I'm going to do this. So you'll see videos from me very early on, like a week and two home, where I'm pushing up my front stairs to my house because I still got stairs. So I immediately went into survival mode, but I think that comes from preparation. I'm from the number 8 poverty city. All I know is survival mode. And I didn't see nobody coming and save me. So I knew I was going to have to save myself. I started learning how to jump on counters and all kind of stuff. So I think mentally, I just really trusted the process. After I was able to visually see who I was, I remember the first night that I came home, I did my makeup and I put on a dress. I was still trying to check myself to make sure I was still going to be fly.
I can feel that.
So,
I can feel that. Yeah.
I started early. I realized that I was going to have to speak to myself. Because this was something that nobody could tell me how to do. So I remember very early, I changed the bedding. I was doing things like different from other people. I changed the bedding in the hospital. Like I bought a comforter set and everything. Early on, I told them to bring my flat iron, like bring me some lashes. I realized that I was gonna have to dress myself up. I remember sending my mom to the mall. I was like, listen, get me some short sets and some nice shirts. And I started like basically self-loving on me very early. And I think that's a big part of being able to self-love, love on yourself through something so drastic and so terrifying, because it's terrifying, especially being that I've never known another amputee before myself. I never knew another amputee in my entire life.
That's now I've never come across a story like this before ever. It is probably one of the most inspirational stories I've ever heard. You're you're a walking testimony, so I believe this is real encouragement to anyone, not just amputees. I believe your story can help anyone, um, especially those that have that mental process issue. Trying to get from one phase to another, because that's a drastic change. Um, one minute I have legs, one minute I don't. One minute I can rely on myself to do things. The next minute I have to retrain myself how to do everything. You know, that's something I don't think everybody can do. You know.
Well, another thing I don't want to skip past and leave out was that I had taken care of a woman named Miss Williams before I lost the legs, and she could not walk. So I never took care of her. She prepared me. So a lot of the things that I seen her do and I helped her do were the very things that I was going to need for myself. So that was a major factor. God was preparing me the entire time.
Man, a plan inside of a plan, huh? So what do you have going for yourself now? What do you have going? I know you're doing a little bit of a. Are you on tour right now?
Well, we're going to be doing some big things coming up. We're going to have some workshops and some retreats coming up. I'm getting ready to launch a huge coaching platform to be able to really show people how to boss with ability and use the tools that they do have, to press forth in life. I have some real estate development projects that I'm working on. I just recently renovated a salon, an all luxury with accessibility salon suite building. So I'm building luxury with accessibility properties because there's only 1% of homes that are built here in the United States that are fully accessible for the disability community. So I'm working on that. I have my legless and my wheelchair divas, which is a support, connecting and collaborating group. We also have the Love and Legs Foundation, which is my 501, where we are providing accessibility items for people in need, as well as running our Big Sister program, where we connect older amputee women with young girls so that we can bridge that gap. Because I meet so many women who their story is they do not or have never known another amputee like themselves, I believe connecting with these children truly gives them a different insight and a light on what the future has to hold for them. So those are some of the things that I have that I'm working on and that's coming up that I'm truly excited about.
Okay. Do you have any? Are you working on a book right now? Do you have a book out? Are you going to be sharing your story soon, and maybe like an autobiography or something like that?
So I do have two books. My first book that I wrote was called Walking Through It All, and then I have a book called Severed to Faith. Those are both two amazing, amazing books. One is extremely testimonial, and one kind of goes back and talks about the preparation of God getting me ready to be who I am today.
Okay. And where can we find those books?
We can find those books you can get them on the ebooks. As far as iBooks, we have them available on Amazon, as well as you're able to get them at KeishaGreen.com.
Okay, and that's KeishaGreene.com, correct?
Without an E on the end, so
Without the
that is
E on the end.
KISHAGREEN.com.
Gotcha. Okay, and where else can we find you on social media?
So on Facebook, I am Keisha Green, and also on Instagram, it is I am Keisha Green. IAMKEISHA Green, as in the color.
Before we leave, I have one more question for you. So, in the middle of this pandemic that we're currently living in, how does that affect you and many other amputees across the nation?
I really feel like a lot of us are truly the same. So I believe that we all are doing the exact same things as the regular, what people will consider to be whole and or regular people. I had someone ask me this question a few weeks ago. So if anything, they're probably in the same panic as everyone else, making sure that they have their medications, that their health is going to be intact during this time. But outside of it, I believe that we are all just staying safe and staying out the way like everybody else. I really can't say that anything is different for us during this pandemic, man. We regular people. We probably better than some of the other people out here.
I can believe that. I can absolutely believe that. Okay.
They fight every day. You know what I'm saying? They're
Right.
like, yo, I fight every day.
Right. See? I know exactly what you mean. Okay, so before we leave, can you leave us with an encouraging message for us trying to survive?
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this. If anything, share my story today. I truly hope that I can inspire you to know that God has brought us through so many things before and that He's truly going to bring us through this. If anything else, we just want to seek the what in the situation, not why are we going through this. But Lord, what are you trying to say to us? He's brought you through some things that you may have seen as small that today you just need to find gratefulness in and know that, listen, trust your process. Things aren't always what it looks like, and I hope that's another thing that you get from me today. You may have looked at me and you may have assumed that I was full of disability, but today you've learned that I'm full of ability. So things aren't always what they look like. Trust the process. Greater is definitely to come.
Miss Green, you have the most wonderful spirit. It is so positive and it is so needed in the world today. Um, and so I love what you said. People look at me and say, or can think that I'm full of disability, but I'm full of ability. And those words run right there. I love it. I absolutely appreciate you, and I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your story, and I absolutely cannot wait to share it with the world.
Well, I appreciate you today as well, and make sure that you stay safe, stay protected, and we coming out of this. So keep working.
Yes, ma'am. We are coming out. Thanks a lot, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is BMH Magazine.